that would be wonderful. We'll wait a couple more minutes for people to join. Hi, Jennifer. All right, I think we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome. Hi, Tobias and Paula. Great to have some healthcare organizations joining us as well today. Well, I'm Lena Harvell. I'm joined by a few of my colleagues here from 0 to 5. We hope the insights we share today are valuable to you. If you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out. My contact information is listed on this slide. So again, good afternoon. We thank you for joining us today. We're excited to kick off this important webinar series in partnership with the Montana Department of Public Health and Human Services. 0 to 5 Montana is honored to serve as the grant administrator for the employer-sponsored childcare grant. This is made possible through a contract with the DPHHS Bright Futures Birth to 5 program. And wanted to go over what to expect today. Here's a quick rundown of how we'll spend our time together. We'll start off with content that includes a foundation of why a childcare benefit is important and an overview of the employer-sponsored childcare grant. Then we'll have at least 20 minutes set aside at the end for questions and answers. Today's session will be recorded and posted on the Family Forward Montana website. We welcome your questions throughout. Please enter them in the chat. If we don't get to them live, we'll include them in an FAQ document that will be published on our website at the conclusion of our webinar series. For today's webinar, this is a first of a 4-part series designed to walk you through the eligible childcare strategies featured in the grant application. And the grant application opened on July 18th. Our goals for these series are twofold. One, to empower Montana employers with practical knowledge and tools to design and implement childcare solutions that can be tailored to your workforce needs. And 2, to equip employers to successfully apply for the employer-sponsored childcare grant. Today, we're going to dive into the Dependent Care Assistant programs, also referred as DCAP, as well as offering tuition benefits. This is also referred to as possibly a stipend for childcare. So let's get started. Just a little bit about 0 to 5 Montana in case you aren't familiar with our organization. We are a statewide early childhood organization focused on increasing access to early care and education, supporting and strengthening families, and empowering our business communities. We have various initiatives, and you see some of them listed down below, and a website if you wanted to learn more about them. But one of them is Family Forward Montana. So what is Family Forward Montana? It is an initiative found on the principle that the well-being of employees and their families is integral to the success of businesses and Montana's economy. Through our Family Forward Montana initiative, family-friendly policies and practices such as child care benefits are promoted in order to improve employee engagement, reduce absenteeism, and strengthen your talent pipeline. Early in my leadership journey, someone shared this simple but powerful insight. Choosing not to act is still making a choice. When we looked at recruitment and retention challenges, it's clear that inaction has a cost. These national averages may not be Montana specific, yet they can be translated to your company by calculating the cost of absenteeism and turnover rates. For our families in the state of Montana, the top two financial strains are housing and childcare costs. The federal benchmark for affordable childcare is 7% of household incomes. This information for the West region demonstrates that childcare costs narrowly come second to housing costs for a family. As we can see, childcare costs exceed the average cost for a public college in state tuition. And then we look at Montana. This chart is reported by the U.S. Department of Labor Women's Bureau, and I just pulled some sampling counties, and you'll see it has there by kind of age groups of categories for childcare, infants, toddlers, preschool, and then school age. And then the type of setting, whether center-based or home-based. And as you glance through this, you're going to see there isn't a county so far reported down here. And as I look at the comprehensive report with all the counties, most of all the counties are reporting more than 7% of their household income, of the median household income being paid toward childcare costs. So as we talk about affordability, it's important not to assume a generalized view that this is due to childcare rates being too high. In reality, childcare providers face thin margins and are often underpaid. They are, in many ways, the workforce behind your workforce. Our webinar series tomorrow explores starting an on-site or near-site childcare, which will provide more information about operating a childcare business from the aspect of an employer-supported program. And here are some common employee scenarios of how care issues impact employers. And as you look at this, it starts from can have morning disruptions, can cause delay to getting to work, limited daycare hours, force early exits. So that can even mean leaving early or partial participation in the workforce, as well as school breaks can create extended coverage gaps. High care costs force career pauses, and that really narrows your talent pool. And then care gaps push employees to take unneeded time off. And if you think about it, replacing an employee costs 33% of their total compensation. This is reported by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Foundation. And the average cost of absenteeism is $8.50 per employee per day, as researched by Tutras. So nearly half of missed shifts lead to costly overtime. These are real, measurable business impacts. And as we mentioned earlier, family-friendly policies and practices such as childcare benefits improve employee engagement, reduce absenteeism and strengthen talent pipeline. While interest in childcare benefits is rising, access remains limited. This creates an opportunity for employers to align business strategy with supporting your workforce. Investing in people pays off. This information that's on this slide is shared by the Best Place for Working Parents. Employers that offer childcare benefits can see up to a 90% return on investments. These benefits improve retention again, engagement, and productivity. These are metrics that are top of mind for many companies. Where do you start? Listen to your people. As with any benefit, the first step is asking employees what is important. Annual benefit surveys help identify what's working, what's underutilized, and what may be missing. At 0 to 5 on our Family Forward website, we provide a customizable employee survey and a comprehensive roadmap to becoming a Family Forward Montana business. You'll see an excerpt of the survey on this screen, and this one specifically is targeted to asking questions about childcare needs, but it is a comprehensive survey for your employees, again, adaptable to what your needs are, and they are available. There's QR codes as well as on our website. So choosing the right strategy is based on your staff input. Use the results of your survey to guide which employer-sponsored childcare strategy fits best. This is a list that shows the strategies eligible for grant funding. There is more comprehensive detail of each of these strategies in our program booklet on the Family Forward website. So I encourage you to go through that to learn even more detail regarding each of these different strategies. A little bit about the grant. Applications are now being accepted and closes on August 24th at 9:00 p.m. Mountain Time. These grant awards are ranging from $10,000 to $100,000. The award is based on size and scope of the employer project. A total funding of $1 million will be awarded through this grant application. The grant period is from October 1st through September 30th, 2026. One thing to remember is that the grant application proposal should demonstrate the direct benefit to your employees for the child care strategy selected. This direct benefit will need to be demonstrated during the grant period starting in October, ending September 30th, 2026. Again, I encourage you to review all the information that we provide on the Family Forward Montana website related to the grant. It will help in your preparation for your application. So before we get into the child care strategies for today, just wanted to have a disclaimer that this presentation is not legal advice. Employers should consult with ERISA counsel, benefit advisors, company attorneys, and tax professionals for your advice. So the first spotlight on a child care strategy is a dependent care assistance program. Here I've listed what it is. It does allow parents to set aside pre-tax income to pay for child care in an employer-offered flexible spending account. DCAPs allow employees to set aside those pre-tax dollars, lowering their taxable income. For 2025, the household cap is $5,000, and then that increases to $7,500 for 2026. For employees filing separately, the limit for 2025 is $2,500 and then increases to $3,750. These funds must be used by the end of the plan year or they're forfeited. One thing different from the DCAP flex spending account versus a medical FSA is that reimbursement request under a DCAP can only be to the amount that's available from contributions. But on an employer standpoint, it is the least complicated employer childcare strategy to implement, as well as it is a savings on payroll taxes on the employer standpoint. Here are some key areas that are reimbursed through a DCAP. These are typically include licensed childcare centers, in-home care providers, before and after school programs, and day camps. Just note that these expenses must be for dependent care provided during working hours. So what is a dependent care flex savings account? You hear DCFSAs and DCAPs. Well, a DCFSA is a specific type of DCAP where employees can contribute to pay for eligible dependent care expenses. An employer can offer a DCFSA and not be required to contribute toward it. This just allows the ability for employees to be able to set aside money for childcare pre-tax. And again, the contribution limits starting in 2026 is $7,500 per household. However, it is advantageous and a best practice for employer contribution to a DCAP. This can be either fully or matching. Keep in mind that any employer contribution is still subject to the DCAP limits. Again, for 2025 is $5,000 per household, and then $7,500 starting in 2026. For a DCAP, some additional considerations if you're exploring this possibility as a strategy is whether will you match or contribute the full amount of the annual contribution? How will you administer this? Will you do it internally or contract with a third party? And you will also need to be sure that your plan documents are updated for the DCAP. Specific internal revenue codes are section 129 and 125, which is part of the cafeteria plan. And these are subject to non-discrimination testing. This is when we're talking non-discrimination testing, it's a measurement of making sure that highly compensated employees are not gaining the benefit of this program. The other childhood strategy is offering a tuition benefits to employees. This is also referred to as a stipend or a subsidy, but it is another great tool. They allow you to directly offset an employee's childcare costs. In this type of program, employers set the parameters for how and when employees can use tuition benefits. For example, childcare tuitions discounts offered for families enrolling in licensed high-quality care programs. And let's walk through the pros, like reducing the financial burden for employees. This also offers flexibility for employees to select the best childcare provider that meets their needs, and as well as for an employer to be able to have flexibility to set the parameters. And it does have immediate impact. But the challenges that you want to kind of consider, it can be administratively burdensome. And so another part of that is to possibly consider platforms that can help lessen that and streamline the process. The other thing is childcare tuition benefits or stipends are fringe benefits. This means they are generally taxable. While childcare itself is an exception, childcare stipends are not. They are taxable income. This chart, based on Tutris's research from March 2025, ranks employee satisfaction across benefit types. And you'll see here that childcare stipends or tuition benefits scored highest, with 18% of those with the job offering a stipend are using it, but 50% selecting that they wish their job was offering it. On the other hand, you'll see dependent care scoring lower. And usually this trend is often due to a lack of an employer contribution for the program, as well as poor communication about how the DCFSA works. Here I'm sharing some examples of organizations that actually provide both childcare tuition benefits alongside DCAPs. This just helps to demonstrate how a layer strategy can better meet employee needs. So with all that, how do you get started? Again, survey your employees. Anonymous surveys are great, but don't underestimate the value of focus groups. You'll uncover details that data alone can't provide. And remember, 0 to 5 Montana is here to support you. Don't hesitate to reach out for one-on-one technical assistance. Build your team, align your strategy. Bring together a cross-functional team to evaluate your workforce needs and identify your priorities. This group can help you align goals, secure internal buy-in, and develop a thoughtful approach to using this grant as a catalyst for broader change. And here we're sharing some resources to help get started. The links are provided, but we will also provide it in the FAQ document as well. And as I mentioned, 0 to 5 is here as a resource. We offer various toolkits, survey templates, FAQs, one-on-one technical assistance. Whether you're just beginning or already deep into planning, we have resources to support your success. And with all that, let's jump to some questions.
Lena, this is Jennifer Fow with the Central Montana Child Care Alliance.
Hi,
And
Jennifer.
I just wanted to confirm that those who have received this grant in the past are eligible to apply again.
Yes, they are. Yes. And so those that are currently in our first cohort, they actually have a kind of scaled down version of the application, mainly because we fully expect that they would be continuing their strategy. It doesn't mean that it prohibits them from augmenting that or shifting.
Okay, and then my second question is, if somebody applied successfully or unsuccessfully last time and still have those survey results, do they need to update those if they feel like not much has changed within their staffing needs?
I always like to have surveys that are not older than 9 months old. Only because times are changing and employees' needs may have shifted. So using ones from even a year old can potentially be dated. Plus, you could have turnover within your team. So I would highly recommend, if possible, having data within the last 6 months, preferably.
Thank you.
Hi, I was taking some notes as I read through your material. I just received this information, I think, last week. So, one of the notes, it says how you sustain childcare assistance in the future without grant funding.
Mm-hmm.
And then the previous question said, that this grant, this isn't the first year of the grant, and this is the only year. So, could somebody in that proposal write how they would phase that? Like 1 year, maybe if they need more grant funding, second year less, and that type of thing? Or do you want to see by the second year how they can replace that funding?
So this particular grant funding does have to be spent out by September 2026. So what we would be looking for is what kind of thought process or potential you would do for sustainability after the grant concludes. It's not something that we're locking people in, but just starting to have those thoughts on on how you would continue it. As you know, that's probably the most challenging thing, is to provide employees a benefit and then take it away like
Yeah.
a year after. So hopefully that helps answer your question.
Well, yeah, just how I'm going to answer that question or address that. Um, Another, the slide presentation that you just went through is,
Mhm.
did you say that would be available, that we can get a copy of that somewhere?
Yeah, so we'll have all our resources available on the slides on our Family Forward Montana at the conclusion of the series.
Okay. And on one of those slides, I was trying to read and listen at the same time. I apologize if I'm not
No
as good
problem.
as I should be, but I thought I saw something about small businesses, supporting small businesses.
Yeah, so the 45F that has updates to it, that will be having updates through it through the latest national legislation, has a caveat in there about benefits to small businesses. The U.S. Treasury has not received the complete bill to vet out what that definition is. We are looking at a partner who will be doing a webinar series as they get more information from the U.S. Treasury to provide detail around that. But yes, there is a component about supporting the small businesses.
Okay, so I mean, we're a small critical access hospital, but
Mm-hmm.
we do have a little over 700 permanent employees. Would that categorically exclude us from being eligible for this grant?
Oh, no, not at all.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
In fact, we encourage you. I mean, one of the things we're really trying to help promote is in our rural areas, and hoping that this can help provide that seed funding.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah. Um, the the flyer that I'm looking at, employers can choose from, as you said, the DCAP, provide on-site near-site childcare programs. Do you have any current examples of things that people have done? The turnaround time by the end of August is pretty quick to figure out how we're going to do the survey, get look at future funding and that type of thing. So,
Mm-hmm.
any type of a template that might help us move forward. Do you have samples of that on your website?
As far as the
Like some of the
survey,
program.
or
Well, I saw, yes, saw that you had
oh,
the survey up there and available, and I'll pull those and take a look at that so that
mm-hmm.
I can share that. But I just meant the overall grant, the structure, how they put it together, who they talked to, what type of partners that they may have used, that type of thing, so that we can get a template and kind of get an idea of how to jumpstart what we're doing.
Okay. So a couple things. The booklet provides one-pagers of each of the strategies. The other thing, when you talk about partners, on Friday, Shelby's actually going to do a focused webinar on community infrastructure investment. So she will have some tips. Correct me if I'm wrong, Shelby, on just how you can explore those partnership opportunities as well.
You're correct. We'll talk about some community resource mapping, which is really applicable to all of these solutions when you're talking about just relationship building and access to, different expertise and resources. So that'll be coming. I believe I'm presenting on that Friday, right?
Right.
Yeah, so just shortly. As far as local examples, though, Lena, did you talk about some of the businesses in the area that might have already been exploring this method?
So we do have a couple of employers that are doing the childcare tuition stipends. We can certainly, if you're interested, Tobias, to connect you with those employers. One of them specifically being in the healthcare industry. They're early on in it, but I think it's been something they have been thinking about for a bit of time prior to the grant opportunity. So be glad to see if we can do with them.
I know that there's been some community meetings down here to discuss childcare and how employers can help provide some resources for that. I don't remember everybody who was at the meeting. It was a little over a year ago. And I know that we've talked to the school district about that, but it says providing on-site or near-site childcare programs. And I mean, if there's somebody else in Hamilton that's also a part of exploring this grant, maybe we need to talk and see how we can't pool resources on that type of thing as well. So, I mean, if you have one of those organizations, feel free to share my information. I think you have it as the invitation to this meeting. So, but if not, I mean, I can't guarantee what we're going to do to move forward. That's outside of my um, power. But, I'm trying to take this as much information to my boss and see what we can do on this. And if there's somebody else out there, heck, we can talk to them and see what we can work. We want to be a good community partner with other people that are trying to provide these solutions too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we have a couple of resources and connections, whether it's a community collaboration or a like type of industry for you that we can get out to you to connect you and see if those are helpful.
Great, thank you.
This is Colleen from Aware Early Head Start. Tobias, the Head Start Early Head Start there in Hamilton is a childcare partnership program. And that might be someone to get in touch with too as part of that collaboration to see if there's any opportunity there.
Yeah, I think I've had some conversations with some people over there. I'd have to dig through and find my contact again, but thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Colleen.
This is Paula from Bighorn and Hardin. Could you describe a little bit more on how the grant would be used for the dependent care program? Because we already have dependent care, but I'm just a little confused on how the grant funding could be used for that.
Well, the grant funding can be used specifically on the employer contribution side. So some of the dependent care programs, right, could potentially just be employee contribution. So you could use this to, if you already have one, to do the employer contribution piece of it.
Very good. Is there, on the website, is there any description of past grant awardees just to describe what they use the funding for, or just to give us some ideas of?
So currently right now it's underway. This first group of awardees they just started their grant initiatives in mid-April. So quite a few of them are in different stages as far as they're not fully implemented, but I can give you kind of a high-level overview. We have some grant recipients that are doing the dependent care, the employer sponsoring piece contribution. We have a few that are doing the tuition stipend benefits. And then we have quite a few that have the on-site, near-site childcare of bolstering that program. There are a few community infrastructures that are really early in the stages. With the direction that they're going is kind of the priority wait list, as well as entertaining, reserving slots. But those are kind of the big overviews of what some key initiatives that are underway.
And any kind of employer match to like the dependent care program that would then be an IRS benefit issue to the employee. Am I thinking of that correctly?
So the big thing on that is that the contribution maximum is inclusive of both the employee and the employer contribution per household. So let's say, for example, if you have an employee that's already participating in a dependent care FSA and they are putting in, let's say, $2,500 a year for their household, if you then have an employer match, then it would only be that 2,500 because it is a $5,000 max per household. So that's something to be aware of when it comes to that. And there are some other regulatory, there's a testing, like I talked about, the non-discrimination testing that's part of the IRS code that you'll want to consult with your ERISA counsel and benefit advisors on.
Okay. And then the 2,500 in that example that the employer matches,
Mhm.
is that a taxable benefit then to the
No, those are
employee?
both a dependent care FSA or DCAP. There's like they have a couple acronyms for kind of the same program in a sense. Those are pre-tax, so that reduces. So that's why for an employer that's a beneficial thing because it reduces your payroll tax as well for that amount.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Thank you. I have another question. Is this grant only offered at this time every year, or does it come around more often?
This is right now, as far as we're aware of, this will be the only grant offering. We initially were not expecting that this second round would be available. So yeah, it isn't something that we are aware of that would be available.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you again for joining us today. We hope you can attend our webinar tomorrow that's focused on on-site and near-site childcare, and on Friday with Shelby about community infrastructure investments as a childcare strategy. A survey will pop up before you leave. We appreciate your feedback. Again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out, and we appreciate you joining us today.
Thank
One
you.
more. Will you share your slides? Or how?
Yes, we will be providing those.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for joining.